have you been feeling with Melee since we last spoke? I know it's been a little while. We talked about game plans a little bit.
I
Um,
think mentally speaking, and especially when it comes to game plans, I feel like I'm better about that
okay.
because I think about what I should be using in neutral a lot more often.
Hmm.
That being said, am I amazing at it or do I choose the right options all the time? Absolutely freaking not.
Yeah, no, of course not, right? Like
Um,
that's which is like so fair. Like it's such a new
I
concept.
think in the process, though, I've become a little bit more generic and predictive,
Hmm.
and I'm having issues getting around that right now
Okay.
because I feel like I'm trying to do the right thing too often.
Yeah.
And it messes with not only like how I'm like viewing the opponent as well as like my overall speed of not just like necessarily reacting to situations quote unquote correctly, but like also just like my overall speed in general.
Right.
I feel like it's weighing me down, which I feel like should go away as I keep doing this and practicing, but
Yeah, and I
I'll be
think like
honest, the
oh,
amount I've been playing has been a little bit less between like I guess the months of August to like early November. I've definitely gotten more free time now,
mhm.
which is why again I you know decided to actually pick up on this
Right,
and to
right.
do this again.
Hmm.
So I've been playing probably like every other day the past like couple weeks.
Okay.
And I already noticed like a lot more improvements, just I guess maybe because I took enough of a break, not taking it seriously, but
Hmm. Yeah, like consistency
also
matters
just
too, of course.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of like uh, feeling like you're more predictable or anything like that, I think that's like very normal,
Mhm.
especially when you're like sticking to like a rigid game plan or anything like that. The important part is to be able to introduce like mix ups in your game plan, right? So, like,
Mhm.
a game plan doesn't necessarily have to say, like, if you see option A, do option B every time. Like, it can be something like if you see option A, like you have a list of your own options that you can do to you have to deal with it, and like what options you pick. Like, I think what's nice about top tiers in Melee is like they often just have like for any given situation like multiple options that all happen to be good, and then those can lead into like a whole different like decision making tree from each one you pick, right? So like when it
Right,
comes to
right.
like making your game plan a little bit more fleshed out, like I would say, yes, it's good to know, like, for example, like if you want to be able to deal with like Fox back air, for example, or like running shine, like there's multiple ways you can deal with running shine, right? Like if you're playing Marth, like you can deal with it just by like doing a down tilt in place, but you can also deal with it by like calling it out a little early and run up and grabbing it, right? And like the way that they have to deal with that, the down tilt, like if you think they're gonna do the running shine, then those two options like beat it pretty cleanly. But if they think you're gonna do the down tilt, like maybe they'll shield, and then oh well now the grab works. So you have different ways to kind of deal with that, right? And if they shield a little early, you could like if you're down tilt to space, that's safe on shield, right? So it's like that's kind of what I'm getting at, but it's like you have different mix-ups in your game plan, but
Mhm.
ultimately like you're still dealing with that running in approach. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought up down tilt specifically because I feel like there are times where I don't know if my positioning allows me to down tilt a
Hmm.
lot, or like I don't know. I think I'm using it in very incorrect places sometimes.
Okay.
Because of that, I find that sometimes I'm either too far or like they just know I'm gonna do it, so I just get drilled or something, like if I'm playing against Fox or something.
Right. Well,
So
like
I feel like being able to mix up down tilt is something I struggle with. So yeah.
yeah, so I think down till it's like a really like it's kind of like a it's probably Marth's best move out of like across like every matchup, honestly,
I
aside from like
agree.
maybe
Yeah.
grab. But like the reason why I think it's good changes a lot in different matchups. But generally speaking, like and you probably already know this just from like hearing a lot of people talk about it, but like um down tilt is like a poke, right? Like it's not
Hmm.
necessarily like the way you would use like a jab or I would honestly I think what helps
You know what?
people.
That actually probably clears up a lot because I'm like thinking about it like a jab, I guess. The more I think about how I use down tilt.
Yeah, and like I would
Okay.
almost think out of it like um how like a lot of like Mario Bros players use like their F tilts. You know what I mean? Where it's like
Right.
it is
Okay.
just like a one like a little like poke across the stage, and if you hit them they'll get sent down at an angle where like you can get maybe a tech chase, or like it leads to an off stage position, and like that there is like possible for that to be good. But the reason down tilt is like a lot better than like the Mario Bros stuff is because of the range it has, um and the fact that it's disjointed and it's like super quick so you can act out of it, right? But it's like always putting on pressure. So I think when it comes to like dealing with foxes, for example, who are like dash dancing in the corner, um like a lot of people will try and like run up and down tilt them, right? But I think like there is a thing in Melee where I should have saved this. It's something that people talked about a little recently, but like um the more you approach with an attack, the less safe it is, right? Like just in general. And it's not even for just for the fact that you're like moving your character closer, but also just like the game isn't like the game is runs on different frames, right? So like when you do a move like Marth forward air, for example, like it starts at the top on one frame and then a couple frames later it ends at the bottom. You see what I'm saying? So like when you're approaching with a down tilt, where it kind of just like pokes in one direction and you're moving forward as it's coming out and retracting, like you're just making it like closer and closer um to like their shield where they're
Yeah.
able to punish it, right?
I've
So
been
like
trying to work on that too, like make sure
yeah.
that like if I'm going to jump, I have to mix up like the timing of like that aerial because I used to just be really bad about that, even with Space Animals. So it's not even like it's a character specific thing, it's a me thing. Even though
Yeah.
I know that, I've known that for years. But for whatever reason, the concept of like mixing up the height is weird for me.
Mhm.
Like if I'm consciously thinking about it, it's hard for me to do, but sometimes when I'm playing, I will just do it. And I don't know why I started doing it. Maybe I got punished too hard and realized I had to start doing it. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it's not something I start doing right off the bat. It's something that definitely comes up later on.
Well, here's
So
what
I
I'll
don't
say
know.
about that, and like I'll add on to the down tilt thing we were just talking about, because I think they both kind of go hand in hand, right? So like for example, like you were saying a second ago that you find that people like know when you're gonna down tilt, or like you don't know when to use it, right? Because like either they'll just like jump over it and hit you, or they'll do like you don't know like how close to get, right? So what I'm talking about a second ago is like the fox dash dancing in the corner. Like a lot of people try and use the down tilt as like a move to approach with, kind of like how we were saying like some people use it as like a jab. But I think down tilt is like best used like just like literally standing in place, right? Because when you do it standing in place, and I'll share my screen and show you. If I have Fox shielding, let's say, or dash dancing, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use shielding because it's like a more visual thing.
Let me pop this out because Discord doesn't believe that you should do that by default.
Yeah, sure thing.
And it's
Um,
really small. So, all right, there we go.
and I'm just going to make Fox shield real quick. Just need to find where his it's behavior. I'm using a new version of Uncle Punch. They've moved a lot of stuff around, right? So like down tilt I think is really good because in order for Fox to hit me here, he has to jump over this move, right? Like he has to like do that. It's why like Marth down tilt is like really really good against the ice climbers, right? Because like for Fox to jump over this move, he has drill, he has nair, he has back air even, and he has moves that are like pretty quick to be able to hit Marth here, right? But
I'm
for the
also
ice,
getting in there, like,
sorry.
yeah. I'm also opening it up so I can like actually try practicing that spacing. But keep talking.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just the idea is
Okay.
like at a tipper spacing, right? You can practice it maybe outside of the lesson, but just for now, like I'm just putting it up just for like the visual example, right?
Okay.
Um, but for ice climbers to get over this, right? Like they have to do like a forward air, which is like way way slower, right? Than something like a drill or anything like that.
It's
Um,
actually not hard. Why was I not doing that?
so the idea, right, is like this move is always like making it so that you're controlling some space on the ground where if they want to be able to hit you or punish you for this move, they have to jump over it, right?
Okay.
Um, and when you do it approaching, do you see how like it's just way
Mm-hmm.
closer of an attack and like I'm not at that max range anymore? It's a little bit easier for them to do that, right? Like, so in the example, like if I'm doing this here, like the only move an ice climber would have to hit me here would be like forward air, right? But if I
Mm-hmm.
do it somewhere like here, maybe even if I'm outside of the shield grab spacing, they could maybe clip me with a down air, even if down air is really quick, right? So the idea I'm
Yeah.
trying to the point I'm trying to make was say Fox is shielding right here, right? Like we have him shielding an Uncle Punch. But even if I have him dash dancing here in the corner where he's gonna be doing sorry, there used to be a way to oh here, loop input, right? Even if I have Fox dash dancing in the corner here, I'm not necessarily trying to like run up and hit him with a down tilt like this because it still gives me that bad down tilt spacing like we were talking about before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So down tilt is really good because I can just do it in place and that's the best spacing for it because if anytime he runs into it, he's just going to get pushed off stage or into the corner like he is right now in the Uncle Punch thing, right? And it's literally just in place. It controls the ground in front of you. And if Fox tries to punish that, and I think he's going to because I've been representing this option, like we were talking about game plans, if I think he's going to jump over it, I can dash back and grab him, right? Like
Okay.
if I think he's going to nair at me, that's when I get the grab. Or you could even just do it your own nair in place and beat it. Like you have different options, like I was saying. But the idea and kind of like how you were talking about like, well, why am I like falling on top of people or why am I like predictable with the down tilts or like why can't I find a good space to use them? The whole point I think is that you need to be thinking about where you are spacing your moves in neutral based on what you think they're going to do. Does
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay.
make sense? So
Yes,
like
it makes a lot of sense.
the whole point of like spacing down tilt is to like control on the ground, right? Or like
Mm-hmm.
it's to control um the ground. And if you think they're gonna jump over your down tilt and beat it, like well then you can go to aerial mode and like be a little swingy, or you could dash dance further back. But like I don't think Marth is a character that really gets to chase down other characters like Fox or Falcon or even Sheik sometimes, right? Most Sheiks aren't doing that, but you know what I mean. Like Sheik could potentially. Um, I think Marth gets to control the space in front of him really well just by like having range. Does that make sense? Hello? I think your mic is doing the thing again. You might have to use push to talk. Or you could use your phone if that works for you. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll ask again. Can you hear me still? Well, um, I made. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I don't get why Discord like it's like I was streaming just fine yesterday and the mic or the other day and the mic was fine. It's just like applications that try to do audio work for me and it messes with the way the rest of my audio setup and interfaces and it's really obnoxious.
Right, right. No, that is really stupid. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm not really an audio savant, so like I can't really help with that, but I could totally imagine that
That's
being really annoying.
probably not beneficial to anybody really, especially with how good streaming equipment has gotten the last few years. I use a lot of like older equipment that I got like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago still.
Hmm.
So I have to like manually configure a lot of stuff still. Which is why again with programs that try to do things for you,
It's not fun.
Yeah, no, I could totally imagine. Um, okay, but we'll jump right back in. So we're talking about spacing, and we're talking about how Marth can kind of use that to influence their decision making.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you mentioned that like for example, like you find it hard to like drift onto like different attacks and you like mess up your spacing. I would say as like a good starting point, just from like really really basic stuff, like you almost there's not really a point in neutral game where you want like weak hits in general with Marth, right? Like the
Hmm.
more you play and the more people start to introduce defensive counterplay, crouch cancel and like floor hugging in general
Yeah,
just becomes like
CP, I have trouble dealing with too. I'll be honest with you.
yeah, and it's like mostly for Marth players, I find it's because they're not paying attention to their spacing in neutral, right? So it's like it doesn't even have to be necessarily like just your attacks, which I think like that is how you beat crouch cancel for the most part, is you try and get like a tipper attack. Um, but even just like the spacing that they use before they use their attack, like an example that I like to give is like if you are playing against Fox, right? And can you still see my screen on your phone? Is that okay? I know.
Yeah, I can see it. I just have to look at my
Okay.
phone, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so fair. I'm recording this for what it's worth, so I'll have this uploaded for you. I know you recorded in the past, but yeah. But I just want to give an example. So like when we're talking about, and I have to reload this, but we talk about like crouch cancel and neutral, right? And I'll have them crouch just for clarity's sake.
Oh wait, I can just watch on your stream.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Okay.
it might be a little delayed, but yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so the idea is like there's a lot of people that try and play neutral against Fox like up here, right? Like they're just dash dancing super super close. But the problem with
Yeah.
even playing like this against Fox is like anytime you want to attack in this range, it's never going to be a tipper, right? Like unless you're drifting back and giving up space. But like you'll be close enough to get a grab, but that's really like it, right? Um, and I get why a lot of people do this because like it's nice to get a grab, right? But I think
Hmm.
somewhere like here is really good because again, you get to keep that down tilt spacing against Fox where he has to stay away from or he has to find a way in and like you're representing something and if he wants to get it like it's really easy to get that grab anyway and like get it off a whiff punish. Um, and if he like drifts back here in this spot, like let's say he fakes like going in on you, you're fine. Like you're not risking anything really because you're still at a good spacing. And if you do go for an attack, like anytime he goes in here or you like push up a little bit, it'll be a tipper, right? As long as you don't get like super super close.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, like my point, I guess I'm trying to make like the greater point is that yes, it's true that it's like hard to think about spacing and figure out like how do I space this move or how do I space this move, especially if you're trying to do them all at the same time. Um, and you don't really like know what's the best move to space. But I would say in general, the easiest way to like start on that is just to find a good spot against any character for like a move that you think is good, right? So like we were talking about the ice climbers earlier, like
Hmm.
ice climbers I think are like an easy one for Marth to figure out because for him like it's just like a well-known thing that like they really have nothing to deal with down tilt, right? Like almost nothing. And you know you don't want to ever get grabbed by the ice climbers, right? So for
Right.
them, like this is like the absolute closest I would ever want to be to an ice climber in neutral, like a spacing like this, right? Otherwise, I'll play from way back here if I can, because I don't want to get close enough ever where I'm swinging in a spot like this, where I swing and it's like a weak hit, and then uh, I get like crouch cancel grabbed, right? Which like better ice climbers are always going to be fishing for that, right?
Right.
Similarly, like if I'm playing against like a Jigglypuff, like Jigglypuff
I
is
need to
really
stop being lazy with this matchup.
sorry.
So I said I need to stop being lazy with this matchup because I just default to just going back to space animals for this matchup. I need to actually learn this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So like for
Yeah.
Jigglypuff, like a lot of people really just think like, okay, well she's really campy, so I want to get in on her, and that's how it's gonna work, right? And like for Fox players, that's probably true because he doesn't really have much range, right? But for
Right.
Marth, like if I have Jigglypuff do, let's say, counter action on the ground, I'm gonna make her grab. I don't know why she jumped. I actually have no idea why she jumped. Whatever. Um, can I make her grab? I don't think so.
Should be able to. Oh, in the air now. You're in the air section.
I have no idea why she jumped. She should have grabbed, but like,
Yeah, she
oh
should have. Well, you're using a new version, right? It's probably kinks haven't been worked out yet. So
yeah, I don't know why she's going in the air. Whatever. Um. Anyway, point being,
maybe you have to change the SDI because I think maybe you have her set to crouch, right? But that's for ASDI only. Maybe you have to do.
it
Or
could
sorry,
be
that's for CC only.
ASDI.
Maybe you have to do ASDI too.
Yeah, I'm gonna make her ASDI down.
Yeah, ASDI is
Yeah,
auto right
there.
now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, she was just ASDIing up. Um.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, like if I'm at a spacing like this, right? Like I'm gonna get CC'd by Jigglypuff, right? And even like F smash or dash attack or whatever, like you would think that Jigglypuff is not really much of a good scrapper, but she actually has like a lot of range. Sorry, there's a lot of construction
Yeah,
going outside.
I find that a lot of puffs will try to abuse CC so that they can get those either tiny hits or like up tilt or even F smash sometimes just out of those little scraps. So I try not to.
Yeah. Well,
It's
yeah,
really annoying.
that's the idea, right? Is if you try not to, because I feel like they're really strong or really fast, right? And like Marth's best scrapping move is a down tilt, really, or like a jab, but like again, she's gonna get this forever, right?
Right.
Like anyone can CC jabs until whenever, and it's like F tilt like is pretty good, but it's really slow and laggy if you whiff it. Um, so it's like you don't really have like good scrapping tools, and again, like you try and well, that was like a bad example because I actually hit her, but like if you try and grab a puff like this, right? Like there's only sometimes you can actually grab, but most of the time you'll get rested for it in tournament, right?
Right.
So my whole point is like you kind of know that this isn't a spot where you want to be, and especially where Jigglypuff's moves, like if she uses like dash attack or F smash or rest or grab, like they are so deadly to Marth. You always want to be at a spacing like this, right? Like really far away, and again, you outrange Jigglypuff, so you get to dictate the pace of like even if you have her like all the way in the corner, like how is she gonna hit you here, right? As long as you don't push that spot, and if she stays there, well then you can eventually safely poke with moves like down tilt, right, where she can't counter hit you. So anyway, all this to say, the reason why I'm giving these examples with like the puff or the ices or whatever is like, yeah, it might be true if you don't know how to space like one specific move. I think that's valid, because like the game state is always changing and like characters move or people mess up and there's human error and like whatever. But I think just having a spot to start from as a default and like going back to it as much as possible. So like an example being like if you whiff a grab on a Jigglypuff or out of Fox, and instead of like spot dodging or shielding after, which a lot of people do, or like swinging in that spot, you could dash back and return to your neutral spot as long as they don't punish you for whiffing that grab. That's like a really good spot to like start from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that clears that up.
Yeah.
But okay, we've kind of spent like 20 minutes of the hour answering questions, and like I'm happy to do that, but I figure you might just want something like a little bit more useful, I guess.
Talking about the game helps a lot clear things up because I have
Okay.
a lot of stuff. I'm an idealist essentially. Like I have a lot of ideas in my head,
Mhm.
and I will get too focused on those ideas. So talking about some of those ideas and just kind of letting them go and figuring out what's actually good or bad with someone who's already probably used or tried or thought of a lot of those ideas as well
Mhm.
probably is best also. But I do like the other aspects of also like learning, like also. So yeah.
Yeah, well, all I'm suggesting really is like, and I think that's valid. Like, and it's good to be like have a lot of ideas and want to like bounce them off. But all I'm suggesting really is like, I I've coached a lot of people, and I
Mhm.
think that while it's true that that's like what some people just want, like that's perfectly fine.
Oh, it's not the
I'm
only thing I
really
want. I just wanted to say that I do actually like that too. So it's not like the end
yeah.
of the world if we spend a lot of time doing it.
Okay, cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
because what I was gonna say is like, you can just come in my stream or just like message me whenever if you have a question. Like, I really don't mind. Like outside of a lesson, that's totally okay. Like, I think just where you're paying me for this hour right now, like probably be best if we could like get something where you have like
Okay.
homework or something to work on outside of it. You know. Um.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways we could take this if you want, because I know we didn't really like set any goals like leading into the call. Um, so like what I typically offer is like we could play like ranked mode, and I could like coach you while we play ranked. We could look at a VOD of yours, and if you want to just like ask some questions, I could point out some habits or something like that. Um,
I
or
think
yeah, go
going
ahead.
into ranks would be better for me right now
Sure, yeah.
than just shooting you VODs because I feel like I can talk about like my VODs and study them all I want,
Hmm.
but like for whatever reason, some things just don't stick as easily as if I'm like talking about something while I'm playing the game.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally fine.
Um, so yeah, let me make sure that I actually have purchased right. Um,
Oh, I guess this might be a
yeah.
little tough too, especially where you're on your phone. Like, how are you gonna share screen?
I mean, so
Or I guess you could put your camera on the screen. I don't know.
that's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that part. I can go back to push to talk since I'll be playing anyways. That's actually because then I don't know if I have an idea.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe
try.
camera would just work
Okay.
best, I
Oh,
think. Just so that way it's still real time too, and you can like respond to anything I'm saying. Or we could just look at VODs and I can just screen share on my side. It's up to you.
let me just try the Discord call on my PC again real quick and
Sure,
see if
yeah.
that fixes stuff.
Sounds good.
Or maybe I can just turn off noise gates altogether in Discord somehow. Let me do that real quick, okay?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
All right. Okay.
What's up, Caleb? Yeah, I'm just at a Metafy session right now. We're about to do some ranked mode. Share your thing around. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I really think we can win voting if people know how the vote system works for the Nouns uh, Smash for 2025 round. I think it's very possible, but it's just a matter of getting it to as many people as possible. Jeff, the only person explaining it, yeah, which I think like will make a difference, but it's like it is just a matter of like reach, right? Like how many people can I get this to? Which might be hard while I'm streaming, but we'll see. Everyone's really busy right now, which is like so fair. But yeah, it's like the holiday season. But yeah, we're gonna try some ranked mode here in a sec. Um, I'm just gonna do live coaching on ranked. I've done this a couple times now. For some Metafy sessions, I feel like people really like it just because they get to like think about what they're doing in a game in real time. And for some people, I think it does work better than VOD review. But, yeah. Hey, can you hear me? Okay. I can't hear you. If you're typing.
Alrighty, sorry. I guess I'll just send you VODs. I don't want to really waste any more of your time. I'll have to figure this out some other time.
Oh, it's no worries. Yeah, I just
I'm trying to make sure that it worked before we start. Like you heard, I told you I was trying to fix my audio.
yeah.
I just need to next time just go back to Linux instead of trying to do this in Windows because it works there. So yeah. I already did take out some VODs just in case for this. So here are these. I'm sending them to you. They're just SLP files. So, but yeah, this is just a session I did with someone else in my area. People who have been around the scene probably have heard of this person already, but this person's always been a mentor to me, and I only recently really felt like I started like getting better to a point where I could like contest with them as a player. So the first game's a little rough, but I do some adaptations and also clean up some punish stuff. And the second game goes a lot closer. It's like last stock. So
Okay.
I think there's some things in there that are really obvious. He's been around since like '06. So he's really good at like baiting out and spacing
Right.
Marth stuff pretty much. So that's why I chose this set. Oh, it's not really like a set, but like
Yeah, it's just two
he does
games.
focus a lot on like trying to help other players grow right now because he's not actively competing anymore. But yeah.
Okay, cool. So, okay, tell me, like, we'll just like let it play. We'll let it play, and I'll just take some notes visually while we talk about it. But like, what are your thoughts about like the matchup, or like what's going on through your head while you're playing?
So I am going to be dead honest with you. I feel like I gamble like 90% of the time when I'm playing this matchup.
Okay, why is that?
I guess when the Fox starts playing a little bit more passive and I don't know how to press the issue about it, I feel like I'm just like throwing something out to see if I get punished or not, or if I get a hit or not. And it definitely has its consequences.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think spacing and neutral could probably help you with that, right? Like I'm seeing you're like running at the Fox quite a bit, kind of like how we were talking about before. Like even right here, you get down from like respawn platform, right? And like the first thing that goes right away is like you're jumping in with an up air, and like sure you're probably
Yeah,
anticipating
I'm
them
trying
to.
to rate a full hop to the platform
Yeah,
because a lot of Foxes do that. I need to get out of the habit of just thinking that people are going to default to something while I'm on invincibility because sometimes they do, but like I need to only do it when they are actually showing that they're going to do it every time.
right.
But yeah, that's something I have an issue with too. So
And it's like this fair in here, like I get it's out of a combo, right? You're trying to catch the jump, but again, like you're going in quite a bit.
mhm.
Um, I guess my point is like there's never really a point where like you're going in after every interaction, right? Like you get hit by this shine here, and you get hit by the shine, and you're right back in there with a grab, right? So it's like a lot of it's like different attacks. Like we've seen like a fair, a grab, an up air. There's a jab, there's a down tilt, right? And it's like you're doing a lot of different stuff, but the motion of it all is very
It's
repetitive.
essentially the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I think someone tried to explain that to me before, but like a friend of mine that's close by, but I didn't
mhm.
really understand what they were picking up on at the time.
You're right. Well, like,
Yeah.
so like kind of like let's build off what we were talking about earlier, right? Like I was saying, like in general, if you don't really know how to like space your moves or like something isn't going right and you don't know why, like it's good to default to a spot in neutral, or like for other characters it can just be like a spot and punish, because like this is where like all your options will become better, right? And the problem is right now you're getting put in these spots quite a bit because this guy's combo game isn't like 0 to death killing you every time, right? And like here you
Yeah.
actually do it, right? So like let's look at here you get hit by the shine, you back off, way dash back, and now you're able to like actually get a grab and like play some interaction, right? Whereas like before you got hit by I think a shine on the right side, and you went in with a grab, I think it was a second ago.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was the one where he didn't actually commit to his full hop and he double jumped in the air and there's
Yeah,
just a grab like
yeah, here,
10 feet below him. Yeah.
right? And it's like the difference is like sure your spacing is good on the down tilt here, right?
Hmm.
But it's just because it's like I don't want to say luck or like coincidence, because like the jab obviously sets it up, but it's like it's not intentional, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is kind of just like mashing, and then you just like go in and chase, and it's so it's like my point is like I think having the intent of like setting up good spacing ahead of time, and like actually taking some time to like set it up while you're playing, like will make that difference, right? Because otherwise, like you guys have been pretty close in terms of like combo potential this game. Like he's not really doing like 5 hit combos on you or anything. It's been a lot of two pieces or something like that. But he
It
just
was
is
closer than I remember.
moving.
Sorry, I thought he got rocks this game, but yeah. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, yeah,
Distract.
he's just moving really quickly, right? That's like the thing, really. Um, but yeah, so
That's actually his thing is he loves his movement. He was originally a Ganon main, so
okay,
yeah.
but yeah, so like that would be one thing. First, I would say is like something to consider, like which we've already talked about it, so I think you kind of like get the idea already. Um, the other thing that's going on, which I think I saw pretty early on the first stock, is you need to be considering your defensive game a lot more too, right? So, for example, like you're having a habit for sure of swinging out, which we've already talked about. But even when like swinging out of hits, like when you're like getting just knocked by like a nair on stage or like a shine or an F tilt, like moves that aren't sending you flying. Do you know what I mean? You're swinging back and trying to scrap with them a lot. But this is something I would consider. I think it's going to be right here. This double jump right here. This is like a known like newer player habit that really, really can kill you, and where you're swinging so much out of attacks on stage a lot and trying to scrap. This is really, really worrisome for when you're getting hit off stage, is using your double jump immediately after getting hit.
Hmm.
If they were ready for that double jump after this back air, like this is like a free shine. Do you know what I mean? Or like even if they wanted to go for like a rising back air here, like shine stall, rising back air, and like hit you come from below, like you're just dead there with nothing really to get back because you don't have a double jump, right? And you, even if they wanted to like grab the ledge after too, like he does right there with his double jump, like he just grabs the ledge and you're dead, right? Like that's funny timing, but like this exact same thing, right? So here you get hit with the back air, he reads the double jump over with his own back air. All he has to do is grab the ledge because there's no timing mix up for you to use now, right? So I call this like the no fly zone. I have like an image of it on my computer, but it's basically like anywhere from like here, a little bit below the ledge, definitely like above it, coming back. Like you really, really want to be careful about using either your double jump or your side B in this spot, right?
Mhm.
Because if you do, like you are just dead. There's no mix up. There's nothing to do. The way you can fix this though, there's two ways you can fix it. One, like, and the way I fixed it, I would just yell at myself, like literally just make like an audible noise and just scream if I did this double jump, because I like Pavlov dog myself into like not wanting to do this jump. The other thing you can do, I think it's really important to, in like almost every matchup, to get comfortable recovering low with Marth. Because think about it from the Fox's perspective, right? If you're, I'm going to close the replay here real quick. If you're at the bottom of the ledge and they're grabbing the ledge, right? There's only so much time they have to actually like hold the ledge here. With invincibility, like imagine he stays on the ledge, but whatever. Like with your invincibility and your double jump and your side B, like you stall out that invincibility, right? And if he, how does he refresh it? He can either use his up B with no invincibility, and then you just like poke him with your up B, or you can double jump, which again you can just hit with your up B, right? So when you're recovering,
Right.
like as long as you're not using side B in this, that like giant like circle thing I was showing you, where they can like shine you or hit you with the back air, as long as you're just willing to fall down here, you can stall and use your double jump, or you can just use your up B right away. But the point being is you have a mix-up to recover versus like the aggressive mix-up on stage every time of like double jumping where you risk dying every time. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's just stuff I need to fix because
For
that's
sure.
what I would do as a space animal was double jump side B.
Yeah, which is like,
So it's like
and like the double jump
all
side B,
not
I
good
feel
as
like
smart. Yeah.
it gets by with a lot of spacies for sure, like starting out, because like it's just fast, it's hard for people to punish it, you fly a far distance, right? But like even right here, right? Like let's say this fox wanted to recover and instead of up B he uses side B here. You're doing the perfect thing to cover the side B right now by doing a jump, because like the second you see the side B, you can just react and let a forward air go, and then they're just dead off stage, you know?
Right.
So it's like, even if it's a habit from like being a spacey main, like it's still not really a great one to do, because recovering above the ledge in melee just in general, like if you get hit off again, like you're just dead with up Bs, because people can actually like hold the ledge and really secure like big kills in this game, right? Like you get the forward air on the up B here, but like this covers both up B and side B, you know? So I think it's really good for that. So just like a habit to be aware of to not use that double jump a ton. Because like they pretty much kill you for almost the exact same thing here. And it's pretty deadly, honestly. Like it's a really big, like I almost call it like a noob killer. Like, but it's just
I'm
so...
fine to call it a noob killer. I think it's something that I've been doing and need to stop doing, even though I've been on Mars for like a year and a half now.
Right. But it's just like it's
kind of sad actually.
It's a habit like most newer players have, right? Like that's just what it is. Like a year in melee time is like almost nothing, you know? Just because it's like a really hard game, and a lot of people spend so much time just learning how to move their character, right? Let alone like build or break really bad habits, you know?
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, that I would say is a really big one. The other thing I would say is like, so we've talked about how like you're moving forward in a lot of these scraps and you're like really forcing a lot of interactions right now that like can work out if they're not ready for it, but go really bad for you if they are, right? So like
Right. Okay.
I'm not hating on it right now because honestly, I don't think this Fox player is doing a really good job of dealing with it. He's also just like running at you, trying to scrap, and like whoever gets their move out first wins, right? But if at any point after like they hit you and you try and scrap with them after, he just holds down and crouches, like he gets a huge reversal then. You know what I mean? Um so like I can't hate on it necessarily right now because they're not really showing the counterplay for it. But they are still like catching on your timings a little bit because like we talked about before, your timings are a little predictable here. So again, the way you fix your timing is just by resetting to neutral. But in general, I would say I'd probably want to see a little bit more like down tilt usage out of you or like dash dance grab because they're staying so grounded in general, right? Like when you do put a bit of space between the two of you.
I didn't. I don't think I meant that dash attack. I rarely ever mean that dash attack. It's usually like if I'm inputting too early for crouch detail, I'll get the dash attack.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
So
like
yeah, sorry about that, but yeah.
no, it's
Um,
totally fine. All I'm saying is like I find when there is a little bit of space between the two of you guys, and you guys are actually playing neutral and not like scrapping with each other, like trying to box out the other one, he's staying really grounded, right? He's running in with shine, he's trying to grab you, whatever. But I think Marth down tilt and grab, kind of like we talked about at the very beginning of this lesson, like they really deal with a grounded Fox like really well, you know? As long as you're using them properly, which is like an in-place down tilt or a run-up grab, and it's like how he can only use aerials to really beat that, you know?
okay.
So I think that would be good just as like a player-to-player thing, just where this is what that Fox is showing a lot. But in general, the habit you have for sure against him right now is you are trying to scrap with him way, way too much, right? And it's like, honestly, I don't think there's anything to this game deeper than that. Like just in terms of like mistakes or things you can do. Like if you were to get more grabs, maybe we could talk about your combo game a little more. But a lot of it like is really just like you getting an edge guard or you getting like you got like that one Ken combo and you got the one grab into tipper down smash tech chase. Like both are great. Like this is good. I have really no complaints about how you played that for punish. But the rest of your hits are really just like two pieces like that, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
weak fair into back throw and like maybe you're trying to tech chase here, but like yeah.
I always do that still. I don't know what it is. Like I'll go into practice and try to specifically down throw,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do that for like half an hour. And then I'll go into like unranked or like play a friend or something like that, or like go to a fest or tournament, and then it just still comes out as back throws. I'm not sure why.
Well, the reason why is because Melee actually has like on the coordinates of your stick. Like, are you on GameCube controller?
I'm on a fob.
You're on a
Yeah,
fob?
so
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, with a fob or just a GameCube controller in general, like the way you get vertical throws is what it's called. Like the vertical throw like ranges are actually a lot smaller than the horizontal ones. So, like even when you want to do like an up throw, um even when you want to do an up throw, like it's it's a lot harder to do an up throw than like a forward throw. It's just really because like the way the stick map is laid out, like you basically just want to aim for like straight up or straight down. You can't really aim for like down left or down right.
I
Just
feel
the way
like
the
I
game is
saw that
programmed.
in a video by Redacted at some point in time.
Right, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like that's the idea basically. It's just you have to do straight up or straight down. There are ways to get around it. Like I've heard of people they'll do like quarter circle inputs to try and get that. But honestly, like I think it's better just to try and aim for straight up, straight down, and just get in that habit, and it'll become a lot less of a problem.
Okay.
Just because I think like a lot of people, they do try these like little like workarounds a lot of the time, and they can work, but I think it kind of like distracts from like the main thing of like why is this actually good or why are we actually doing it, you know? So it could be just something to practice, I think. But like it like sometimes input errors just when you're playing a tournament, like it's very normal, right? Like people mess up pivots when they're trying to like pivot on puff, or like people will mess up their jabs on people mess up their jabs on like trying to edge guard a spacey side B. Like execution errors just happen, you know. But if you are like messing it up and it's your controller, like I would say to test it to make sure it's not just like a you executing in tournament issue. Make sure that your throws work when you go straight up and straight down, you know?
Yeah, I probably need to start doing that again because I so I tinker with electronics and hardware. Bob, I have technically I built, but I got so far down the rabbit hole with controllers. I feel like I was changing the controller more than changing myself if an error was happening.
Right.
So I like stopped doing it for a bit, like paying attention to it. But it's probably time that I actually check that out to see if my values are correct. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
I tried to just let go of that part because I just got in a really bad habit of just like not trying to fix my bad habits and just like
yeah, like it's the controller.
It's really
telling
sad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, which makes sense. But yeah, like otherwise, I don't want to harp on you on it too hard. But like, yeah, this isn't really like a great punish because he just kind of like goes to a tech chase. It's just one of those things where it's like you kind of got to know where your moves are going to send them. But you could also like just as like an alternative, just to give you like a different idea. Like if you get this tech chase on the platform here, you don't have to necessarily stand underneath them and do an up tilt. Tipper up smash also works pretty well if you want to like read the tech in place, or you could go for a tech chase and like wave land on the platform itself and try and like re-grab them. Then you can go for a chain grab on the platform. Just in general, I find that up throw up tilt really isn't that great of a combo starter at like earlier percents. Every Marth is guilty of overusing it, I think. But especially at like the lower percents, like 0 to like 20 or so, I would maybe opt for something else, maybe like up smash or a re-grab, or just F smashing them or naring them maybe. But yeah,
I think that's the thing. Another thing I just feel like I just kept getting away with Space Animals because like Space Animals for sure. Like I feel like I can get away with getting those like random like two pieces, and then it's like CCing or like reversaling back with Shine real quick because its Shine is broken, and then just continuing a punish.
Yeah, no, I mean absolutely.
Mark doesn't really have that.
Yeah, I think Spaceys, a lot of them do just get away with like someone whiffs a move, they get to like hit them back just because they're way faster, and like they can carry that. So like for a lot of Spaceys, like their neutral really is just like hope someone whiffs something and then hit as hard as you can as like a counter. But I do think with Marth you have to play a little bit more neutral. So okay, just want to ask because we're watching the second game now. So any thoughts about anything that went different, or do you feel like game 2 was like very similar to game 1?
I feel like the only thing that changed the more that I've talked about it with you is that in some aspects my punish cleaned up a little bit. I don't really remember much else. This was like Tuesday, so.
Okay, yeah, it's totally fine. But yeah, I mean, you got a pretty big juggle here that could have been like up air. This could have been another up air.
I want to say Slippy stuttered there, but it's also possible that I baited out a double jump and this didn't punish. I don't know, but it's probably the former.
Right, okay.
I want to say Slippy stuttered, but
yeah, this was great. Like, so look right here, like this double jump side B thing we were talking about. Like, Fair just covers it super well. You get a down air off it. This was great. This edge guard. And this game, I feel like you're not going in nearly as much, right? Like you're taking like even between stocks right here. I know it's invincibility, but like taking some time, keeping the space between the two of you. Like this looks really good, you know. Going for a dash dance grab. Like sure you miss it, but like I think the decision making there was pretty good. Here you bait out the nair, right? But so like even like between games, like I don't want to necessarily call it like multi-game conditioning or anything, right? But like where you're going in and scrapping so much on the last time you guys played on this stage, with down tilts and grabs and jabs and just like going in and swinging. And like the way they're going to beat that, like we said, right, is jumping over and trying to hit you. Like now your dash dance is just working, right? Perfectly spaced dash dance, and you get it. Get the back throw. We talked about that a little bit already. So yeah, I mean, for neutral, I'd say this is looking way better. But here's that same double jump we talked about too, right? The double jump above the ledge.
Like that's like the reason why I ended up losing this game. Still, just little recovery issues and defensive issues, but
yeah, and I would agree. But like my point being, like, it's not like it's just like a one-off, like this it's just this one game thing, right? Like these are habits like I can almost guarantee you're doing in like a lot of matches, right? Just because it's like it's a very, very common thing for the way you're playing. And here we're seeing like a little bit of return to that like run up scrap spot, right? Like you get out, you roll out of his drill.
I panic when I start to lose a lead. I still need to figure out how to work that out in my head, like that it's fine that I'm losing, like because it's like a tie game, but like I know for a fact, because it's so common with me, that when I feel like people are starting to make a comeback after I have a lead, I start to try and fix that, even though it's not really something to quote unquote fix. Because it just makes me nervous that I might have just started playing, or they might have, or worse, or they might have started playing better, and I picked up on some stuff, and I overthink it a lot, and that's why I revert back to doing that, because really it's just me panicking. But yeah, I know that aspect of myself, but I don't really know how to solve it.
Well, I would say like it is hard because it's like there's no I don't know the specific reason for why you're panicking either, right? But like what I can say is like for a lot of people, I feel like they just want to win as fast as possible, right? Like I don't want to let this go on. Like let's just get this over with. I want to win. I was winning. No, don't let this go away. Like it almost sounds like very like I don't want to say insecure, but like that's kind of the thought, right? Of like no, please no, whatever, right? And what I like to say is like there is a reason why there's like 8 minutes on the clock and not like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, right? It's so that you have time to like make adjustments or slow things down if you want to. You're not forced to play like one pace the entire game, right? So if you do find that things aren't going well or your lead is dropping, like I think it's totally fine to just like revert back to like what you know is good, right? Like there's always going to be the player to player stuff you guys are doing on like the second stock or the third stock or whatever. But if you're ever down like a lot and you're on your last stock, there's really nothing wrong with just like reverting back to neutral and keeping a good spacing and slowing down the game. And at any point you can speed it back up, right? But like here, like you're definitely reverting back to just, okay, I'm going to go for a grab. I was doing it before. It worked really well, you know? But I think like the reason you were getting grabs earlier in this game wasn't because you could just like go get them, like you were just like the master of getting grabs or anything. It's more like you were doing the right spacing and dash dancing and neutral stuff to kind of lead to that, right? And this run up grab, like I was saying in the first game, definitely feels like a habit of like scrapping out of defensive positions. So I would say the way you could fix this habit for sure, because this is like definitely the one that's in front of you and like prevalent to like what's on screen right now, is I think you need to be thinking more about like, what am I doing out of these situations a lot more, you know? And like keeping a track of them. So like every time you get hit and it doesn't kill you, like what did you do out of them, you know? So that you are able to go back to something like dash dancing or being able to go back to hitting if you like known that you're not just repeating it over and over, right? So you don't have to think necessarily move choice, like I'm just naring every time, but like did I do an approaching nair? Did I retreat? Did I go, like stuff like that, you know? Because it's never going to change like what Fox is, what moves Fox is able and not able to beat at a given time. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like down tilt is always going to be down tilt. It's always going to be these same options. But But yeah, also just as an example, like here's you're going for this nair to call out his double jump, so you're definitely aware of it, I think, right? Because like you're aware of it on his side at the very least. But yeah, just going back in with that nair, trying to scrap. Like in
That
general,
nair was so bad.
I would say like you know you don't want to scrap with Fox, right? He's just much faster than you. He has better moves up close. So like we know on paper if we were to like talk about it in training mode or whatever that you wouldn't
How do
want
I
to do it.
drop this? I just missed the tech chase. Okay. Sorry, I'm still listening to you. I'm just trying to. I threw this so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you were also making a comeback on the last stock too, right? Like you were down a lot also from the earlier decisions. Like yeah, if you dropped the tech chase here, maybe this could have been like a comeback opportunity. But it's not to say that the mistakes made before like couldn't have just cascaded into something like much worse if their punish was better, right?
I getcha. Yeah. I'm gonna actually try and block that out of my head for the time being. Definitely have to put a pin on that, and then
Right.
we'll work on that later. It's the other stuff. So another problem of mine is getting distracted by all the other tens of million things that I can look at in this game.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I would say the big thing, right? And which we kind of talked about at the beginning, like a lot of what you were talking about at the beginning is like, I don't really know how to space down tilts, or I don't really know like where is a good spot to be, or like sometimes they're just beating my options and I don't really know like why they're doing it. Well, I think it's pretty clear when we watch the games, right? And after talking about like some of the questions you had, like I don't think you're setting up distance that matches your character's strengths right now, right? So
Okay.
I think what is like good like homework for you to research is like what is a good spacing to play at against Fox or Sheik or Marth or whatever, right? Like it's very different between every character, and I think like what you are looking for in neutral typically is like the unspoken thing that people say will cascade. I don't know if cascade is even the right word, but like it adds on to like where you are spaced prior to that, right? So like some people will say like, oh, like against Captain Falcon, like you want to spam Nair. Nair is like one of your best moves in your tool. But Nair is like a really, really bad move to use if you're like way too far away or way too close, right? Like there's clearly like a good spot to use the Nair. So that's kind of what you have to figure out right now. Because right now you have a habit of just running in and scrapping way too much, right?
Okay.
And I think that also will kind of answer some of the questions you had before about like, how do I use down tilt? How do I space myself properly? How do I like think about these things while I'm playing and just have it be like, or just have it be like automatically good, right? And I think once you kind of start focusing on your spacing a little more and like setting yourself up for good positions, some of the answers for, or like even just some of your brain space, like while you're playing, like, okay, well now I can focus on this tech chase, or now I can think about like, what did he do last time we were here or whatever. Like it just becomes easier to do. You know what I mean? There's like less going on. Right. So, okay. We'll leave it at that. I'll end the recording here.